Good morning, students. After doing a couple of poems and a short story, I think now it's time we come on to our main drama, that is The Merchant of Venice. From the time we have had this online teaching, I don't think I have started this particular thing, and we've got quite a lot to cover. In class 9, your syllabus was Act 1, Scene 1 up to Act 3, Scene 1. That you all have covered, completed. Now for class 10 onwards, we continue with the scene, Act 3, Scene 2. Now Act 3, Scene 2, if you look at it, is a very important scene, because here we find the introduction of Bassanio. Before Bassanio, we had seen the Prince of Morocco, the Prince of Aragon come, try their luck. Now we have our third suitor coming to try his luck. You've also seen when Morocco and Aragon had come to try their luck, the attitude of Portia towards them, what she thought of them, how she treated them, how she spoke to them. You'll have seen in the previous scenes. But here we find that with the arrival of Bassanio, her attitude is a complete change. She has welcomed him wholeheartedly, and she is doing things that she has not done with the other two suitors also. While the play continues, you will get to know yourselves her different perspective towards Bassanio. So I start. Belmoth, a Roman Portia. Now this entire scene is taking place in Belmoth, a Roman Portia's house. We have the introduction of Bassanio, Portia, Gratiano, Nerissa and attendants. See the first line, Portia is telling Bassanio, I pray you tarry, pause a day or two before you hazard, for in choosing wrong I lose your company. The first line gives us a hint of what Portia thinks about Bassanio. She is telling him, I beg you to wait. She has not told this to Morocco and Aragon, but she is begging, pleading with Bassanio not to go ahead with the choosing of the casket. Wait a while, a day or two, okay, before he can go ahead with the choosing of the casket. I lose, and he tells him, because if you go ahead right away and you choose wrong, I will lose your company. She's openly telling him she does not want him to do so. She wants him to hang on for a day or two. They could get to know each other better. She could be happy in his company. And then she says, if you lose, you'll have to leave and I will lose your company. Okay, I lose your company, therefore forbear a while. Therefore forbear a while is therefore wait. She's telling him to wait. There's something tells me, but it's not love. Laughable. Again she's saying there's something that is telling her that he should wait. Then she's clarifying it, and she's saying that something that is telling her to tell Bassanio to wait is not love. Well, my dear children, it is her love for Bassanio that is why she is wanting him to wait, to take it calmly, to take it slowly. She does not want to lose him, and yet she's saying it is not love. Okay, but it is not love. I would not lose you. She's saying I don't want to lose you, and she's saying it's not love. Imagine, she does not want to lose the company of Bassanio, and she's saying it's not love. Okay, so I would not lose you, and you know yourself, hate counsels not in such a quality. And she's telling him that you as an individual know it very well that if a person hates someone, they will not give such advice. In hatred, such advice is not given. So in hatred, if such advice is not given, that means in love only such advice is given. And she's telling him that if a person hates someone, that person is not going to advise the other person about a certain thing in hatred. Okay. Hate counsels not in such a quality. But lest you should not understand me well. She's saying, I want you to understand me well. I want you to know me. Okay? And yet a maiden had no tongue but thought. Says, I am in such a situation. I am a maiden. She's a maiden. Maiden is a young unmarried girl. She says, a maiden does not have a tongue. That is, she does not have the power of speech. She does not have the power of speech. Okay? And yet a maiden had. That means she is wanting to tell him something, but she is not able to do so. But thought, I would detain you years, some month or two. Now from 1 or 2 days, she's telling him that if it was in her power, she would prevent him from choosing. She would keep him with her, not 1 day, not 2 days, but a month or 2. And she's saying this is not love. And she's telling him, I would keep you here for a month or 2. Okay. Before you venture for me, meaning before you can go ahead for the risk for my sake, I could teach you how to choose right. See this. Openly she's telling him that if he is with her for a day or a 2 or even a month, she would guide him. She would teach him how to choose the right casket. Did she do that to Morocco? Did she do that to Aragon? No. And she's saying it's not love. She would teach him how to go about choosing the right casket. Imagine. Okay. How to choose right. But then, I am forsworn. But she said, I can do this. I would with my heart would like to do this. But I am forsworn. Meaning I am under oath. And if I bring out the way you could choose the right casket, I would be breaking an oath I have made to my father. And because of that oath that I have made with my father, I am dumbfounded. I cannot speak out. Okay. So well I will never be. So you may miss me. And in that's the case, I will never ever be able to advise you, to teach you. And if that does not happen, it might have the reaction of you going ahead and choosing the wrong casket. And if you choose the wrong casket, it's going to be a tragedy for me. I will lose your company. But so I will never be, so may you miss me. But if you do, you'll make me wish a sin. Says, but if you compel me to teach you how to choose the right casket, that is, you will be compelling me, forcing me to commit a sin, because I will be bringing out the secret, breaking my promise made to my father, and that would result in me making a sin, which I would not at the present moment like to make. Okay? But if you do so, you'll make me wish a sin, that I had been forsworn, that I have been forsworn, meaning that I have been compelled to take. Besore your eyes, they have overlooked me and divided me. Then she tells him, just imagine, look at your eyes. Your looking at me has practically divided me into 2 parts. Just by you looking at me, I have been divided into 2 parts. Okay? They have overlooked me and divided me into 2. 1 half of me is yours. And after I have been divided into 2, 1 half of me is yours. Imagine. Before being married to him also, she's saying, 1 half of me is yours and the other half yours. And the other half yours meaning, and the other half also is yours. That means she's practically telling him indirectly that she is completely his. Because 1 half and the other half, 2 halves make 1. And that is her entire self. And she is completely committed to him. She's telling him this. Okay? 1 half of me is yours, the other half yours. My own, I would say. Says 1 half you already taken. The other part that belongs to me, I freely give you. That part of me, I give it to you. That means I am completely under your spell. Okay? But if my eye, then yours, and so I am all yours. If one part belongs to me, one is already yours, then I give you my part also, join them together, and I am completely yours. Then she realizes that she is going a bit too far by speaking such things. She tries to calm down and she says, "Oh, these naughty times put bars between the owners and their right." And she is like going into remorse, into regret. And she says, "Oh, we live in such bad times." She's saying that we are living in such bad times when barriers are put between the owners and what belongs to them. She's trying to tell Bassanio that I belong to you, yet barriers have been put between us. What barriers? Barriers are the terms and conditions laid down by her father. Those are the barriers that have been put between them, because of which she can't commit to herself to him. So she's saying they are living in such hard time where these barriers, these certain restrictions are put between them. Put bars between the owners and their rights. And so, though yours, not yours. It says, and though I am yours, wholeheartedly I am yours, yet I am yours, not yours. That is, because of these barriers, because of these restrictions, I cannot completely hand myself over to you. Okay. And so, though yours, not yours. Prove it. It says, now, if your love for me is real, you will prove it. And how can Bassanio prove it? By choosing the right casket. He can prove that his love is genuine. He can prove that his love is true only and only if he goes and chooses the right casket. Let fortune go to hell, for it is not I speak too long. He said, now let fortune go to hell, meaning fortune be damned, like she's cursing. I don't care about fortune. I just want you to go and do the right things. Then she calms down and she's telling herself that you are speaking extra. Such things should not have been spoken by her. She is regretting and she is admitting, okay, I speak too long, but it's to peace the time. She said, and the reason why I am speaking so much, it is because to pass time. I want that the more I talk, the more time Bassanio spends with me. He said, and I'm talking on a purpose so that I can just talk and talk and talk and talk, and Bassanio will be in front of me. Okay. I speak too long, but it's to please the time, to eke it out and to draw it out in length. Meaning she says, I talk too much, but it's to stall time, to wait, to make it last longer. She wants this time to stretch and to last an eternity, not to be snapped, not to be broken within a couple of hours. Okay. To eke it out, to draw it out in length, to stay you from election. Say, I will make this time stretch, you be with me, and I would, with all my heart, I would hold you back from choosing. She is hinting at him to wait a while. She'll teach him how to choose the right casket. Such a speech, if it was someone else, it could have had an impact on that person. But this entire speech of Portia has had no impact on Bassanio. He has come on a mission to win Portia. Borrowed money, 3,000 ducats. Come here on a mission to win her. And he is wanting to complete this mission as soon as possible, not to prolong it. Arya par, jaise ki. Okay. Bassanio then says, let me choose, for as I am, I live upon the rack. He mentions a very important thing. And he tells Portia that let me choose, meaning let me go ahead with the choosing of the casket. For the way I am living now, I am under torture. Because the way that I am living right now, it is like torture for me. In the sense that he does not know if he will be able to win her or no. That is torturous for him. Okay. So he is wanting to just complete this entire sequence and to get rid of this torture. Okay. And he tells her this, I live upon the rack. Now when he says that he is being tortured, Portia has already expressed her feelings. But now listening to Bassanio, these two sentences that he speaks, she gets an idea that something is on his mind. And if he is being tortured by this act, something is there. And she wants to know from Bassanio what is it that is torturing him? What is it that is torturing him? Okay. So upon the rack, then Portia then says, upon the rack, Bassanio then confessed what reason there is mingled with your love. Bassanio, Portia tells, under torture. Now she is astonished that Bassanio is tortured. Then confess what disloyalty is mixed with your love. Then she says, if you are being tortured, then tell me frankly, what is it that is torturing you? What is it that is mixed with your love? So my dear students, we'll do like this, slowly but surely we will go ahead, and we will do till here today, mind you, up to line number 30. We will pick up speed in the days to come, but up till here will be in this part of the play, right? Goodbye, God bless.